Hey everybody, Weird Setup Tafony here once again. Hope you're doing well today. I'm rambling about the Novation Peak, a desktop polysynth that sounds like this. Okay, Novation Peak, forgive the weird setup here today. This is actually the reason why I'm selling it and need to make a video to do so. I picked it up recently. It came up used at a price that was kind of like, I'm not going to be able to ignore the opportunity to make a video on it so I picked it up. But for my setup, my studio, or lack thereof, it just doesn't work. I don't have a space for it, much less a keyboard that I would need to run it. I guess I can sequence it from something that isn't a keyboard, but I feel like when it comes to doing a analog polysynth like this, you want to get your hands on it, right? So right now we have an init patch, and I'll start going through all the different pieces, but just know, if you haven't watched the channel before, it's coming from a Eurorack background and sensibilities, I guess, and I'm discovering things about myself that might not apply to you, so just keep that in mind, that everything, no two people have the same preferences or interests or all of that good stuff, so we're gonna jump to it today. So I have hit the init button, which is the init patch. The only thing I wish right off the rip here was that you could do, I think Moog calls it like panel view or something, and I wish all of the knobs would jump to where they were on the panel, because I can see where everything's at, but when you hit the init patch, it doesn't necessarily apply. And for me, being realistically not that different from a beginner, as many of the commenters are about to say that I am definitely a beginner, those sort of things get confusing, at least to me. So I can see all these things on the panel, at least coming from modular brain. I'm just like, a knob is a knob is a knob, where its position is where we are, but that's not the case. When you initialize the patch, you're going to have to go and either jump or catch to it. So I think the best way we can get started here is to just take our oscillator level of 2 and 3 and just listen to oscillator 1. We have a bunch of different waveforms. I'll start with the sine wave. And the weird thing that's happening on the screen is it's showing the more parameters, but just know I don't believe this applies in any way to the sine wave itself. So there is our Oxford oscillator, digital oscillators running through analog distortion and filters. Sounds great. That is the setup I prefer generally. You can do more with digital oscillators. They're more stable, but then the nice, warm, creamy analog filters and overdrive are definitely something that I still want. So looking at this, we have our range. This is the same for all three of them. They're measured in meters, just like you would see on a Moog, so 16, but it's basically octave shifting. Forgive my setup here. I'm going to key latch, C, 12, all right, 16, 8, 4, 2, let's just go to 16. We are in the sine wave. Here's the shape. So you can kind of do, it's not like wave folding, but there's a wave shaping to the sine wave that's interesting. And this will be different for all of them. You can jump over and assign this easily to the LFO. And I really like that. Even the mod envelope is really cool too. So if I am, let's just start an arpeggio. Then we have our mod envelope here. So the first one is going to modulate that. And the ease of this is really nice to me, right? So yeah, mod envelope is really not so different from an LFO. It's just synced, but I love my sync stuff if we make the depth crazy. There's some unique timbres in there for sure. Here's the triangle wave. Yeah, so we're shaping that as well. This is kind of the killer feature of the Peak in my mind. Here is the saw, and I'm going to talk about the saws in a little bit more. My desire to just make a massive mono synth and have a million saw waves is kind of what's going to lead to the conclusion of this video, where I think I am a mono synth person, but that's okay. You can certainly make it absolutely gigantic here. So that shape amount, let's go to manual. So you can use whatever modulation you want, but this is your range. Here's the square wave, the pulse. You can PWM it. But again, I'm in this weird spot where the mod envelope is still affecting it for some reason, even though I'm in manual mode, which is really weird. So let's go back to initialize to get rid of that. And I will key latch and turn my ARP on again. And that almost sounded like PWM on the saw, which I really appreciate. Alpha Juno's jealous. Go over to the square wave. It will go down to 0 or 100%. Oh, maybe not 100%. It will go down to 0 though. Pulse width. And then there's this more section. So now the wave more that was on the screen the whole time. And there's a bunch of digital waves. This is BS sign, random, zing. But I'm not too keen on any of these. Like, I don't know what 2B is, and we can crank up the saw density though, and you get these 3 encoded on the side to kind of assign the knob. Saw density, I think, only applies to the saw wave, actually. That's the other bizarre thing about the screen, is it just, like, doesn't apply everything? Oh, I'm standing on oscillator 2 somehow. So it just kind of presents everything and nothing changes in context, right? And I guess I could be editing oscillator 2 at the same time. That wouldn't be context dependent. But let's go over to the saw wave for a section. Here's the saw density. So yeah, 1 super saw per oscillator, and then I can stack that on other ones. So that might be where I go in the end of the video, but let's not derail too far. Get back over to our digital octaves. Yes. So there are some cool ones in here, but I want a wavetable scan. I love my wavetables, and I want to scan through them, not shape them. Right? So is that on here? No, I don't. Why would I want that organ? Electric piano, is this DX7 style? I don't really care for that. Sounds kind of throaty in a bad way. Yeah. This bass organ, though, that sounds nice. There's some fidelity crunch there, though. In a cool way. Acid. Buzzy. Carousel. Dub E. There's a lot of them. Flame. Maybe if I go down in an octave. I don't know. Glass saw. Granular. I don't know how to sell synthesizers in 2020. Anyway, grime. Heavy. I hear all of these, and I'm hoping for the wavetable. So I don't know. There's an online editor where physical modeling? I don't know. Tides? Is this mutable tides? Wow, there's a lot. Vocaloid. Well, that's cool. Any Miku fans on here? Anyway, user ones, now this isn't going to do anything because I don't have a user one. I hope there's a way to add wavetable scanning. Wavetable scanning is like my favorite sound, like period. And I realize when you're making a polyphonic desktop synthesizer for playing, you're thinking like Oberheim sounds and other stuff, but this is just how I'm wired. It's my show, damn it. Anyway, so let's go on and stack up some other stuff and show other pieces. So if I bring in other ones, I want to just show you kind of for how I'm wired. Here's all three. God, that's loud. All three oscillators. Sorry, my freaking power bank that I'm using to run this keyboard is turned off. So here comes an arpeggio. So here it goes. I want to supersaw the crap out of everything. I want to go over here, saw density all the way up. Supersaw 1, do different octave for this one, and go over to oscillator 2. I think saw density that one up. Density detune. And for me, go over to 3. I just want like impossibly huge pads this way, right? Yeah. Make my envelope a little bit smaller. Make my envelope a little bit shorter. Make my envelope a little bit shorter. So now we'll get out of arpeggio mode and just try and do some big stabs. A little octave down. So I'm not a pianist. Please don't hate on me for my lack of skills, but God, that sounds cheesy. But this is kind of where my head is at when I want to get in here. So maybe we'll go minor chords so they're less cheesy. It does sound very digital, which is funny because it's the, straight up waveform, not the user table. So there's also ring mod, which I don't know how it's going to sound in this one, a noise circuit. These might not be the sort of things you want to apply to a supersaw like this. But what we need to do is bring in the filter. And this filter sounds great. There's no doubts about it. Let's bring on some resonance, low pass mode. There's only one, and by one I mean 8, 1 per voice. But you also get bandpass. And for me, as a modular person, I'm not really used to seeing the ability to just jump between 12 and 24 dB, but it's cool to see. And reinstates my high pass love of 24 dB over 12 dB when I can see it head to head. Easy controls on here, no nonsense behind the panel, no needing to assign the envelope in the menu, just envelope depth. Open that filter up. Key tracking down, and we'll just do it that way. Kind of low pass gated, I guess. Let's do... I don't know what's going on with that. Do I have a hung note somewhere? Probably. Let's go... Let's go G. Let's go G. Go down an octave G. Add a little release. So, yeah, I mean, it's... For me, I think I am... better off in the unison mode, as was clearly demonstrated. Oh, I'm into patch mode now. No, give me back my init. Ah, dang it. Okay, well, it has a reputation for being hands-on, and I don't have much experience with desktop synthesizer, so I'm thinking maybe it's a lot better than the other options out there. But to me, I don't know. There's patch recall, which... Let's go through some presets. I don't know. How do I make that sound? This is the part where everyone gets mad and they say that this is a review and I'm a bad journalist, but it is not a review and I am not a journalist, so that sounds really nice. Film board. Could that be a Canadian film board? So let's initialize it again. I know we have to go back to my crappy sounds, but that one makes me want to jump ahead to the filter. Sounds so nice. Overdrive it. It can get really nasty, so let's talk about effects. Analog distortion. If we send it an ARP, band pass even to make it really nasty. This thing can get like freaking nasty, and I really love that about it. Overdrive the filter. Delay. Sync it. Feedback less, shorter time to slap it back. Hold on. Oh, I got delay sync on screen 4 beats. Again, I've always said I'm a reverb person over delay, but get those dotted 16th notes feel. That's a nice, but again, it still feels like I'm opting for reverb. Let's go to the reverb first. And these reverbs sound great. Again, no bones about it. Time, make them huge with low level, so you can just have this like huge atmosphere without taking it over. 3 different types. That was type 3. I don't know what the differences are, and I don't know if there's anything buried in the menu that can let you change these. Here's 2. Again, this stupid battery bank is shutting off. And back to 3. Let's go to voice. Unison. Make it use all 8 voices. Unison to tune. 25. Probably less distortion. Turn off the key latch. Just make my sustain a little lower. Open my filter. Oh. Again, this is where I'm just like, sorry, low pass is definitely needed. This is where I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'm a monosynth person, because maybe does having filters per voice change this at all? Maybe. I missed an effect though. Who could be without my favorite effect for these sort of things? If we want a huge, fat, sawtooth stack, then we'll add some chorus to thicken it up even more. We get rate and level and 3 different types. When you get into the weird wobbly territory, I don't like it so much, but when you just get those like almost octaver sounds. Take my delay out. Yes. Bypass the effects with this one button. But I don't think you'd want to. This freaking battery bank, man, sorry. Oh, it just sounds huge. Filter sweep. Two signs and the digital one. If we get over to, oops, oscillator 2. There's lots of other things I'm not going to cover today, including this animate section, which I found too finicky to find out. And again, you may love these things. They're just like an awesome performance tool. But my expectation is that like you hold this and then do some sort of animation like Electron style basically, but that's not the case. You need to go into settings, I believe. No. Anyway, this is just like, for my short little attention span, I'm like not interested in doing any of that, but those are options. But being modular brain, I think I just am at the point now where I am too lost to try and conquer any of that. I really wish it was multi-timbral. I see some groovebox possibilities. I believe they even added some drum synth focus stuff in the latest oscillator modes, but not so much for me. Forgive me if this is a really weird episode. I just wanted to give you an overview, give you my perspective on it, see if any of those things resonate with you or not. I totally understand. Don't overlook it just because of things that I said or where it doesn't fit into my setup. I just want to give you my thoughts on it. Setup, space, and workflow wise, this isn't how I'm wired both in the studio and upstairs, but it's really cool and it sounds really great. I think that many voices for this price and size is also really valuable. I just don't think it's part of my setup. So hey, I'm tafony. Thanks so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.